everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to do some paper and ink play, and I'll create 3 cards out of the play that we did, and here's some still pictures of the cards I created. I hope you enjoy the video. See you on the other side. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to talk about some different inks and papers. And 2 specific papers today. I've got the Bristol Smooth paper, and I use that for ink blending. And then I've got the Canson XL Watercolor cold press. And the different inks I'm going to be looking at for the effect that I'm looking for are going to be the Hurley in Prom Queen and Slippery When Wet. And what I did was try to find comparable colors. Catherine Puller's Pucker Up and Catching Rays. Wendi Vecchi blendable dye Forget-Me-Not and Cactus Flower. I didn't have a yellow of hers, I only have 3 of them. I've got Lavinia Sundance and Mulberry. I've got Tim Holtz Distress Oxide in Mustard Seed and Picked Raspberry. And I've got Tim Holtz Distressed Ink in Picked Raspberry and Mustard Seed. And how this came about is I was doing this stencil, and I didn't like I was trying to do fire, and I didn't like the delineated flames. I wanted it to more blend, and so I started playing around with water. You guys know what a mad scientist I am. And as I was doing that, I started thinking about what might work better, okay? And so the reason I got that effect, and here's for instance, we'll go through the inks first. This is the Distress ink, and what I was looking for was this kind of blending of colors, right? And I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is on the Bristol. I don't know why I marked Canson SL. This is on the, okay. I guess I didn't do either that or I've lost it. Anyway, the effect with the ink, this one I put a lot more water on. Okay, sorry for the interruption there. This one had a lot more water, but it's the Bristol Smooth handles water quite well. And then these 2 were just plain ink blended with the Tim Holtz Distress ink. This one is on the Canson XL. It did okay. And this one is on the Bristol. It did okay too. I feel like I like the distress here, and it's going to look cool. And the point of all these colors is it's getting on springtime. And I thought maybe we could make some flowers for cards. Okay, next we're moving on to the Distress Oxide. And honestly, it worked out fine. This is on the Bristol Smooth, but I didn't care for the oxidation effect. Like on this one, how you got this weird purple. This is on the Canson XL. And here's just regular ink blended on the Canson XL. And ink blended on the Bristol Smooth. Okay, let's move on to the Hurley. And I tested it all with the same type of brushes. The only one different that I did with Catherine Puller is I used an ink blender because my inks are so dry that I couldn't get enough on a brush to get it spread out. So with the Hurley, this is regular ink blending on watercolor. I like the effect. That's going to look cool. This is regular ink blending on Bristol Smooth. This is the Bristol Smooth with the water effect that I did. And I really like it. It's super intense. And this is on the Canson XL, which it really had trouble blending properly on the watercolor paper. It could have stood for probably another 2 or 3 coats of ink. But all in all, I really like it's probably my favorite of the Hurley. Okay, and then we'll move on to Catherine Pooler. Now this is just straight up ink blending on the Canson XL. It didn't do well. And I mean, you know, that's part me too, but it really, it wouldn't mix the way I wanted it to. It kind of stayed delineated. And this is ink blending on the Bristol Smooth with the Catherine Pooler. No, that must be the water effect. There it is. Yeah, this is ink blended on the Bristol Smooth. It's okay. Maybe another kind of paper. And these are the water effects. This is the Canson XL and this is the Bristol Smooth. And it blended okay. It didn't, the ink lost a lot of its intensity, and I found that it dried quicker. So it didn't have a time to, you know, for me to work at it. I'm going to show you how I work the ink. Okay. Now with the Wendi Vecchi, this one, let's see here. Yeah, this one is the ink blended on the Canson XL. Probably don't want to ink blend on watercolor. This is ink blended on the Bristol Smooth. And I really was disappointed because I'll show you. This color turns green somehow. So it kind of went green on me and I was not happy with that. But when I did the water effects on it, it really blended nicely. That's my fingerprint there. Can't help that. This is the Canson XL with the water blended technique. And this is the Bristol Smooth. Okay, so there's the Wendi Vecchi. Now I was most disappointed with my usually favorite inks, which were the Lavinia inks, and they don't really have a pink. So I have Sundance and Mulberry, and this is ink blended on the Canson XL. It did okay, but it likes to drag. You really need to use the stencil brushes with it. This is ink blended on the Bristol Smooth, a little bit better. This is intense, okay? This is my water treatment on the Canson XL. And the only thing is I went straight ink to paper. And I really got too heavy right here. But I love the way it blended up like this. And this is on the Bristol Smooth. And again, it kind of, the Mulberry just didn't really want to move very much from its spot. It, you know, it took ink with it, but it also kept that line, which I was not happy with. So there's my comparisons here. I showed you the ink, right? Yeah. And so I'm going to show you how to do this technique. And let's do it with the Distress ink. Let me just move all these out of the way. And I have them marked on the back, so I'll know who is who. See, I like the oxides blended. Just when you do that technique, you get that oxidization, which does not make me happy. All right, so what you want to do is you do want to grab a piece of paper that's larger than what you're going to need. And I'm grabbing the watercolor paper here. Get that out of the way. And you're just going to ink blend on it, just plain and simple. And I'm going to attempt this with my brush here. Very hard to work with a small pad. But you can get it to work. But you do want, you know, the intensity of the ink. And because of this method, they don't need to be perfect as far as whether you get globs on there or not. Whoops. And do I need to zoom out a little? Let's zoom out a little bit here. So I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way up, just like any other ink blending. And I'm going to show you the difference between doing it on watercolor paper and doing it on the Bristol Smooth, because there's a significant difference that you'll see very shortly. Okay, let's get the picked raspberry. I'm much more flush on the picked raspberry. I don't have a whole lot of Tim Holtz inks. I have all the oxides, all of them. I'm sorry about the table shaking. One of these days, Mike's going to fix it for me. Seriously. This stuff blends very nicely, though. You see, it's not, even though if I'm putting, you know, I'm doing that, it still will blend out. See? Just want to make sure I have an intense amount of ink. Okay, now, you want to get your towel ready. All right, and you want to wipe off all that excess ink that you might have gotten onto your workplace. And you're going to get your water, and you're going to saturate that thing. Oops, get that off of there. So you want to make sure the entire thing's wet. You don't want any spotty spots. And this paper will magically bend the way it wants to bend, and that's fine. So you're just going to let it sit for a minute. And then you're going to pick it up and you're going to flip it over and let gravity do its thing, because see how the paper curled? See what's happening here? See how it's pulling up down here? Wait for it to pull and I'll move it and then flip it again. So it gets a really neat effect. Get this pink to pull down some here. And then hold it upside down again. Wipe off any excess that's dripped off, because you don't want to accidentally set it down in there, because I'm not looking to get, you know, that water effect, that cool water effect. This is what I'm looking for right here, this streaky effect. And then you can take and turn it this way and just let it sit. And you can probably see, I'll show you, it's dripping down this way. That's exactly what I want. I want a nice blend. If you get something like that, you don't want to squirt it with water like directly. Just let it go. And then, so you're just going to do a lot of twists and turns until that ink has had a chance to work its way into the paper. And then you're going to dry it. And I start drying from the side to get all that wet away from there, even though most of that's going to be cut off, because remember our paper's larger. There's still lots of drippity goodness there. Uh-oh, my heat tool's making a funny sound. Like it doesn't want to work for me anymore. There we go. That was strange. So there I've got a kind of a cool little blend that's going to make a beautiful flower. So let's go do this now on the Bristol Smooth. It's still a little damp on the sides. We'll let that be. Okay. This stuff wants to curl the other way, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with my mustard seed. Same brush, same everything. Now, have I tried this on other papers? No. Do I have other papers? Yes, but I got tired. And I'm not doing a voiceover on this, so if you hear dogs barking in the background or husband saying, "I'm home," that's because I'm more likely to get my video done if I actually talk to you while I'm working. Okay, I'm going with the picked raspberry and just pull it out. And you can see how nice and smooth this goes on the Bristol Smooth. And I've been using Accent Opaque, and I still have a ton of it, and I still use it. Mostly for die cutting, because it's thick. My hand's sore. And get it extra dark down here. The more ink, the better effect you're going to get. And I don't care that it's delineated there, because I trust this ink to do what I asked it to do. Okay, here we go. Ready? Soak it. And let it sit for a minute, and it's going to naturally do a curl here in a minute, and you're going to go with whatever that natural curl is. You can see it starting to curl up this way, so I'm going to give it a little help. Poof! And I'm going to start turning it back and forth. And when you do this, you do want to use colors that won't turn brown when you mix them. And if you flip it like this, then both sides run towards the middle because of that curl. See, the watercolor paper kind of wants to curl the opposite way. See what happens? You get a beautiful blend. I want some more yellow to come down towards the bottom. So I'm going to hold it this way. So you're going to take advantage of the extra goo you normally don't want when you're doing water work. You can even go side to side so you can get those drips going another way. You basically just keep going until it stops reacting. It basically soaks into the paper, so it's not going to drip anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this here on its side like this, and this little curl roll, and let them flow down that way. And then I'll flip it over, and I'll flow them down the other way. See how cool that looks? Wipe off any excess, and I'm going to go ahead and dry. I'm going to start drying here at the edge. And it's going to curl like mad on you, and that's okay. It'll uncurl. See how those colors are coming through? Open it out. Give it a press. This is pretty much dry. Now that Bristol Smooth handles water really well. Go right back into shape. So let's think about how we're gonna, why bother, right? Well, Now, if you have flower dies, just use what you have. If you have flower stamps that are like this, like I particularly love this cone flower, stamp and then dye it, or die cut it, or just stamp it out. This one is a cut out, and it's only a single color, so these will lend themselves beautifully. These are silhouette. You can use silhouette. Leaves if you need it. This is a hero art, so I just want to show you that there's multiple, you know, stamp and die sets out there that you can use. This is a stamp and die set that I have from Tonic. It was for a kit. These are the Altenew painted butterflies. Even just cut out would be beautiful. And then this is a larger set of 2 different Tim Holtz. These are funky flowers, I think. These would make great funky flowers. And then these are just wildflowers, I think. So what I'm going to do is off camera, I'm going to cut out a bunch of flowers out of these ones that we made and these other ones that I made. And I'll be back. Okay, so there we go. Out of these little things we made, I have created this little card. Zoom in on it. It's a thank you card for my friend. And what I used was, I used this Simon Say It With Stamps from Photoplay, thanks. And then I used the 2 different Sizzix thinlits, and I just laid them on top of each other and glued them down. And I also used the big flower from this set, and I just cut it down. And then I used some of these little KS Craft Clear Dewdrops. Mounted it to a yellow card base. And there you have card number 1. Okay. For the next card, I went ahead and used the Lavinia. And I have not mounted that to a card base yet, but I used this Hello die, and this is from Simon Says Stamps. It's a Kathy Zilski. And I used this thinlit set. This is called Peony Pop-Up, and I've had it for a while. And I used some more of these little drops. And then for the final card, it's just because, and I stamped these and cut them out, and these are Nuvo drops, they're not dry yet. I used the Detail Bohemian plate for the background on a blue cardstock. Then I used the Tonic stamp set. It is Compassion, Poppies, and Stamp, and it has companion dies. And there we have it. We've got our 3 cards that we made after testing, and the ones that I used were the ones that were water wet. So you see how the colors blend together. Well, I hope you like this video. I made a card making video in a minute, so thought it was time. If you like this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to watch my videos, please hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to be notified each time I upload a video, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.